Howdy ho, Brody Bros. Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. How are you? That's good to hear. It's fantastic. I'm so glad to hear. Whoa! Oh! Ow. Sorry, I think that was just everybody that flames new releases when they come out. That was just, man, just try to drag me into the underworld. Today I'm talking about this one, Azzaro's The Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense, the newest release in the much hyped, much loved The Most Wanted line, which in case you are unaware of, has been burst, which is just, yeah, happens a lot nowadays. So yeah, it's the newest one in the Most Wanted line. Had to order my bottle from Europe. I'm assuming it's gonna pop up in the US before too long. Typically Europe gets the releases a little bit earlier. Sometimes it's months earlier, sometimes it's weeks. So I don't have a set date or anything when this is gonna pop out. More frequently in the US at discounters, retail stores, but soon. But if you really want it, you can find it on websites, like I said, in Europe, and just have to pay a little more for shipping. If you're watching this in the future, hey, should be easy to find now. As always with this, we're gonna take a look at the presentation. I'm gonna let you guys know what I think about this. I did just get this in a couple days ago, so this is a first impressions video. And before we jump into the presentation, here are a bunch of codes that you can use to save money at different websites. Newest code is gonna be for Best Brands Perfume. They have a lot of clone fragrances there. Then of course we've got Max Aroma, we have Twisted Lily, and FRAGS, among many others, including Triple Traders with more clone fragrances. So use those codes to save yourself when you shop online. To save yourself money. That's what I meant to say. All right, let's do it. Let's take a look at this. Here we have the front of the box. You get the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size, concentration. Again, Eau de Toilette Intense is the concentration for this one. And that information is repeated on top of the box. On the side, you have the Azzaro name, and then this little blurb. Life is a celebration. Step into the light and enjoy the moment. It's your time to shine. Azzaro just really giving us some motivational speech there, really making me feel ready to take on the world. Thank you, Azzaro. On the back, you've got some information, some caution information, along with your ingredients and your barcode. Badge code is 38XD3V7. That is on the bottom of the box. And here is the bottle. So this one looks very similar to the other The Most Wanted fragrances, other than a different gradient on the bottom of the bottle. So it goes a little bit like smoky gray toward the top and then black at the bottom of the bottle. Matte finish on the metallic portion up top, sticker on the bottom with your badge code, and Azzaro logo on top as well. Now, one thing I noticed with this pretty much immediately, as soon as I pulled this out of the box, is they have changed the cap style here. So this is The Most Wanted and The Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense. If you sit those side by side, you can see the difference right away. So on this new one, the Eau de Toilette Intense, the cap is a little bit higher. It sits higher than on the old one. And if you pop that cap off, you'll see that they are different atomizers. Now, as you just saw, it's harder to get the cap off the old ones. They really, stick on there. The new one is a little bit easier, for better or worse. And you can see on the atomizers here that they do look quite different. So the old one is a wider, shorter atomizer. This one is taller and skinnier up top. And then the actual part that the cap clicks into is along the bottom on these new ones, whereas on these older ones, it was kind of in the middle here. So when you see those side by side, you'll see what I'm talking about. One other thing that changed, other than the design of the cap, the design of the atomizer, is how the atomizers actually work. So let's go for a couple sprays of each here. Here is the original The Most Wanted. So there's that one. Slam it. And here is the Eau de Toilette Intense. Now I have to say, this is an awful atomizer, in my opinion. Just really bad. The new one, the Eau de Toilette Intense, this is such a weak atomizer. There's really not much feedback. It's very easy to spray, but it doesn't really give you anything when you press down. It just gives you a weak little puff. So yeah, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. The Most Wanted doesn't have an amazing atomizer. The OG ones are all the wanted fragrances, right? But this is a step down. I'm assuming that they thought this was an improvement. Maybe it's cheaper to do, I'm not sure, but this is not good. I hate that. So that is gonna be the most obvious difference when you pull out your fragrance from your box whenever you get yours in, should you decide to buy this, or you go into a store and you decide to test it. As soon as you spray that atomizer, you'll be like, ooh, that's cheap. Of course, that's not really a huge deal as long as it doesn't leak and as long as the fragrance smells good. So how does it smell? Oh, and I guess, does it leak? No, mine doesn't leak so far. So that part's good too. Well, this is a fragrance that gives us a very simplistic note breakdown. Not a whole heck of a lot going on there. You've got bergamot, you have lavender, you have liquor moss. Moss liquor? Moss liquor. Liquor moss sounds like something different. Liquor and moss. We'll just go with that. I think that's easier to say. Well, when you first spray this fragrance on, it is very fresh, actually, and has a minty aspect to it. Green, a little bit sweet. You have a touch of citrus in there, again, bergamot, but not a huge amount. Actually, it's more of a minty freshness than anything, even though that's not an official note in the scent. And then lavender. You get a solid amount of lavender in here. It's very clean, again, fresh, lightly sweet, and pretty well done, actually. And as it dries down, you get a touch of like an earthy aspect to it, the moss, I'm assuming, but not a dirty earthy aspect. So it doesn't take on something that's unbecoming, something that's difficult to wear. No, this one stays pretty easy to wear from opening into the dry down and actually doesn't change an astronomical amount as it dries. Yes, the lavender comes up more as it stays on your skin and becomes kind of equal footing with that mintiness, that minty aspect from the opening, but this isn't one that drastically changes. So yeah, in a simple way, you could pretty much break it down like that. A mintiness that lingers, a bit of citrus that's in there, a fresher, sweeter type of citrus, not really sour at all. None of that rindiness is going to be found here. And then a lavender that is masculine, clean, fresh, lively, and has that sweetness from the opening carry down into the mid and the dry down. So that sweet aspect melts with the lavender as it becomes more prominent. Little hit of that earthiness from the moss as it dries, and frankly, the liquor that's in here, that just contributes to that sweetness as it dries down. In the air, this stuff actually smells really good, super pleasant. So when you're wearing it and you catch little wafts of it, it's like, oh, that smells great, really nice. Not anything super complex, not anything that's gonna really change how fragrances are being made right now or anything like that, but it smells good. Is it redundant to own this if you already own this or the Parfum iteration of the Most Wanted? No, not at all. Actually, this is not that close to the Most Wanted, either version that have come out before this. You could maybe say, like, there's a little bit of this DNA in here. I don't think it's ever gonna be something where there's somebody out there that confuses this for this or vice versa. So there's no redundancy here for me. And in terms of performance, again, first impressions, only had it a few days, but it's worked really well for me. You do have to kind of pay attention to the sprays because of, you know, what I showed you earlier, which is just that I don't know if this is just my bottle. I mean, if you guys get yours in and the atomizer is better, let me know. Maybe mine is just dysfunctional. I mean, it's not that it doesn't spray. I mean, obviously you see, hopefully, that my hand is shiny now where I sprayed it. So it gets a decent amount on there. It just feels, I don't know, bad. It feels like instead of doing a nice dispersal, it does an uncontrolled just kind of spritz in a tight little cone right where you're aiming. So it douses like, you know, a nickel-sized part of your hand or arm or wherever you spray. It gets a pretty good amount right there, but it doesn't really get you a nice dispersal. I think that's my main issue with this. So like, yeah, just did a spray. I got about like that, yeah. So maybe a quarter size, truly awful. But the performance has been good. It's lasted a long time. It has projected well. It's gonna be more of a fragrance for spring and summer, even though it has that sweetness, and it does. It has sweetness from the opening into the dry down. it still has a nice counterbalance of freshness that gives it good versatility. And when I've been wearing it here, it's been decently warm outside. It feels like spring. It feels like real actual spring. Not, hey, it's officially spring, but it's still frigid outside. No, it's nice, it's warm, and it smells good. And I think that during fall, you could wear this easily as well. Daytime or evening, I think you could pull this off in the office. Has a lot of usability to it. To me, it is a little interesting that they didn't open up that note breakdown a little bit, because for sure, there is mint in here. There is a minty aspect that I think 90% of people are gonna key in on right away. And it's kind of weird that they chose to put bergamot as the top note instead of mint if they're gonna go with a 3-note note breakdown. Because while there's citrus in here, it's not as important to the fragrance, the way it smells, as the mint is. And with the booziness that's in there, I think it could remind people of different fresh or zingy kind of alcoholic beverages like gin and tonic. You could put that in here as a note. Mojito, potentially, you could put as a note. Things like that. Those would work. Those would work here. And I think that's really the focal point of the fragrance. For me, that's what kind of makes it for me. So for me, even though this has been hated on so far, I think it's really nice. It definitely does things differently from the other The Most Wanted fragrances, which I prefer, because at this point, do you really need like the Most Wanted and then the Most Wanted Parfum and then a new The Most Wanted that really just smells kind of like a retread of the last two? No, I don't think so. So it's good that this is different, even if some people are gonna definitely prefer the other iterations that are more for fall and winter, you know, more warm, sweet, sexy kind of evening scents for cool weather. This does something different to be used in different times, different seasons, different places, and I appreciate that a lot. And the more that I've worn this, actually, it's grown on me a lot. I'll tell you, the first time I sprayed it, I was a little underwhelmed, and then I wore it the next day, and then wore it today. Each sequential time I've worn it, I've liked it more. So for me, solid stuff. The Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense, I really enjoy it outside of the new design of this here. That's not very nice. But everything else about it, I like. Everything else about it is cool. So there we go. Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense, for me, thumbs up. Really enjoy this stuff. If you have smelled it, let me know what you think about it. And again, keep your eyes open. It'll pop up in the US before too long, and then you can check it out yourself. Thank you guys. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.